in favor of the ban, but our next guest says the Obama administration can go a very long way to getting the nation's economy back on track by dropping the drilling moratorium ASAP. John Hofmeister, former Shell president of Shell Oil, joining us now. John, there is some word that the moratorium, which was supposed to last till about November, might be lifted a bit early. Do you have any inside info about that, or just the belief that if they were to end it sooner rather than later, that could go a long way toward, a lot of goodwill in the region?
The president is spending a lot of political capital on this moratorium for no good reason. He wants to reduce American dependence on foreign oil. He wants to increase jobs in the economy. He's doing the opposite. He's increasing the reliance on foreign oil by not drilling domestically, and he's putting people out of work by not continuing the drilling process. So he's really working against himself, and in the Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama region, he is really not credible now in terms of saying what he wants to do. He could help himself by ending the moratorium sooner, not later.
All right, John, you've got a bird's eye view of what's going on. Is it necessarily the case, or is it not, that when the moratorium ends, will the drilling begin?
Well, there's going to be three more problems to be faced. I'm sorry to say it. One, we don't know what the new regulations are going to be. And depending on how difficult or challenging or expensive those new regulations are, problem two is, what are the companies going to do with respect to their capital spending plans in 2011? 2010's kind of shot. So what about 2011? Problem three is, when and if new permits are granted because of the actions by the administration to suggest that drilling is not safe, we're going to have lawsuit after lawsuit challenging every single permit. So I predict that the drilling moratorium, if it was lifted today, could well last another 2 years effectively.
John, we could also add a fourth to that list, and that doesn't even sort of take into the fact that there are the shallow water drillers. Yesterday, the Mariner Energy platform that exploded and had a fire that was thankfully quickly put out was a shallow water driller. Now, as I understand it, because I'm talking to these guys on a daily basis, while there is no moratorium to ban shallow water drilling, they're not getting permits approved either, so they're almost in the same situation.
We've had a grand total of 4 permits since the deepwater is in deepwater, granted in shallow water.
How many
and so
filed,
it is
John?
a de facto
Last check
moratorium.
I heard was 90 filed. How many now? So 4 granted, how many filed?
Oh, it's more than 90, but only 4 have been granted.
Right.
That's what I mean by delays because of regulations. And this is not over yet. And the people are being laid off. There are rigs sitting idle, stacked up in rows in the Gulf of Mexico. And with the unemployment being what it is and the stresses and strains on the economy, it doesn't make sense. This is really the back of the hand to the oil industry, when in fact, let's keep in mind, the Deepwater Horizon accident, the tragedy that occurred, were the misjudgments of a couple of individuals. This was not BP as a company. This was a couple of individuals who work at BP. And yet the entire industry is shut down because a couple of individuals made a horrible, tragic mistake, which they will regret the rest of their lives. But why take it out on the entire industry and ultimately on the American economy? Because here's the real issue. What will the price of gasoline be in 2012 if we're not drilling for oil in the Gulf of Mexico when the president is running for re-election? I don't think he's thought this through.
All right, John Hofmeister, former president of Shell Oil. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Good to be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's check in with Jerry Willis, because